face.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, gonna give all praises and glories due. Kwahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Kwakwadash. Double honors, much love and respect to the elders and apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. And honors and salutations to all you Akim out there on the highways and byways that's noising this word abroad all around the world. And shalom to the few sisters listening in silence, the spirit and power of our Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So here it is, you have this Jake that had went over there on the Fatella over there to break the Gaza siege, and pretty much, he's telling his story on how he got assaulted, what I'm saying, by them IDF soldiers over there. All right. Which ultimately he had no business even going over there in the first place because, he's a Jake. He's a Jake. All right. And he doesn't understand the animosity or, the enmity that the Most High had put between, the so-called white man and the so-called black man. All right, Jacob and Esau. All right. So this is why he got it the worst out of all of them passengers that was on the boat. All right, but let me start it from the beginning. Right here. Just gonna explain the story. Then I'm gonna come with my commentary.
Never to deliver aid. That's what people have to understand. We didn't have enough aid to feed a fraction of Gaza, a very small amount. But the goal is always to break the illegal siege that Israel has imposed for over 2 decades. This was mission number 37. They've been doing this missions since 2008, and only 5 out of the 37 boats ever made it to Gaza. But their goal is to continue sending boat after boat, ship after ship, until we break the illegal siege that Israel has imposed. And that's what we were trying to do here. And on our boat, we had medical supplies, we had baby formula, baby diapers, women care products, prosthetic parts for the kids, and of course, plenty of food and water. But most importantly, we had hope for the people of Gaza that we're not going to give up.
We're going to play a video of the IOF, the Israeli Occupation Forces. I noticed, by the way, during an ABC interview, you called them the IOF. They're obviously usually called the IDF. And someone commented to me how cool it was that you weren't corrected on that. It wouldn't have been a correction. It would have been a propagandistic correction. And then I pointed out that they probably just don't know what that is, honestly. They don't know what that means, the IOF. Okay, so here is a video of the IOF. Tell us what happened to you on the ship. What happened during that interception, and then what they did to you after they intercepted it.
Well, as everybody saw in the live stream, they cut the communications across the Wi-Fi networks, and they pulled down all the cameras. They don't want anybody to see what they're about to do, which is pretty much take over the ship, have us sit on the deck, and pretty much detained. And we can't really, it's really uncomfortable. We already have 21 passengers, and we already had to scrunch up on the deck, and basically all night they babysit us or guarded us while they were swapping soldiers in and out throughout the night. And we were accompanied by them for about 12 hours, I believe, until we arrived to the port of Ashdod in Israel. Once again, our intentions was never to go to Israel, so it wasn't illegal kidnapping on international water. Against our will, we were on our way to Gaza, and actually our destination was set for Egypt, where we was going to dock for the night. But anyway, during the time, they just pretty much guarded us throughout the night. Then they handed us over to the immigration port authorities, and that's when the violent attack took place on myself. Pretty much they were calling us off one by one, or country by country. They left the Americans for last. I was one of the last to get off the boat. And when we were getting off, they had a bunch of camera crew, our journalists, our people that were taking pictures in our face. And I put my hands up and I gave them a piece of my mouth saying that I don't want to consent to any of these photos. And that's when they called over the 7 guards and they threw me to the ground face first. They put their knee in my back. They twisted my arms behind my back. And 3 on each side, they levitated me while one of them was pulling my hair and my chains back, choking me to the point where I couldn't breathe and telling me to shut up repeatedly. And then they threw me back on the ground. They picked me up one more time, and then they brought me into a separate room and threw me against the wall. And then they guarded me for pretty much the entire time with 5 guards. I was isolated from the rest of the crew. They were in the next room throughout the whole processing area. I couldn't even meet up with the rest of them at any point in time. They had me heavily guarded. I've never felt that amount of hatred and racism in my entire life over here in 37 years in America. The way I felt over there, it's a different level, and nobody can tell me otherwise. There's no way Palestinians can live in peace amongst people like that. They have such a hate.
Well, there you go. Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure you heard about the Hebrew Israelites. You heard about us, out on the streets teaching, all right? I'm pretty sure you heard of us, but, you decided to ignore us, which that's my opinion, all right? So you said that you never experienced so much racism like that. Well, Amalek being the top tribe, you know what I'm saying? He has a deep-seated hatred for you, Jakes, okay? All right? Because, Amalek, the small hatter, they own everything. They control America. They control the land of Israel. They own everything. So they know who you are, all right? They know for a fact that you're the true biblical Hebrew Israelite. They know this. So this is why you caught it the worst out of all of them over there. Okay? This is why you caught it the worst. All right? Why? Because you're an Israelite. You're a Jake. Okay? All right? So there's no excuse. All right? You heard about the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? This thing is global. All right? So there's no excuse. So like I said, you had no business even going over there in the first place or being on that boat. All right? Your fight is here. Your fight is a spiritual fight. You got to come back to who you are. All right, as an Israelite, but you Jakes, you refuse. Okay, you refuse, and you want to follow after these other nations. Okay, but anyway, let's get into the scripture. So this is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5, and it reads, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end." Okay, so who were the ones that was giving us over to the Babylonians? All right, the so-called white man, Esau. Okay, all right, these are the things he's been doing. Okay, all right, we've been at war with Esau from the womb. Okay, going all the way back to the womb. Okay. This is what you Jakes got to understand. You got to understand that the so-called white man, he's your enemy. All right? He's your enemy. He's not your friend. All right? And really, you're going to see how much of a devil this man is when all hell starts really breaking loose over here in America. You're going to really see the horns of this devil popping out. You know what I'm saying? You're going to really see his horns. And you're already seeing it right now with Trump. All right? You're already seeing the horns coming out of this devil already. All right? You already see it. Okay? You know, the northern tribe, what they're going through, the hell that they're catching. And you Jakes, you know, you gonna catch even more hell. All right? Because, you know, Judah being the head tribe. All right? You're about to catch more hell. You're already seeing it. You know, what's his name? Trump declaring martial law. All right? So it's on and popping. All right? It's on and popping. All right? It's on. And it's gonna get a whole lot worse, you know, throughout, you know, as the years draw nigh. You know, as the years pass on, you're gonna see this thing get a whole lot worse. But you Jakes, you can't see it, all right, because you're blinded. All right. You don't want to listen, you don't want to come back to who you are as a people, you know, then you know the Most High is gonna deliver you over into the hands of your enemy. All right, the Most High is gonna use the Edomite to punish you, Jakes. All right, to punish you niggas, you spicks. All right, you wetbacks. All right, Jake. You know, all the way from Judah down to Issachar. All right, the Most High is gonna use this devil to punish you because you don't want to listen. Because brothers all over the states. All right, you got brothers camps all over the states. All right, all over the world. All right, all over the internet. So there's no excuse on not for you not to hear this word. Okay, we're all over the place. All right. All right, brothers are all over the place. All right, so you refuse to listen, you know, you're just going to get dealt with. The Most High is just going to deliver you over into the hands of your enemy. And it's just simple as that because you don't want to take heed. All right, you don't want to listen. All right, so verse 6, you know, well, let me read that again actually. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and in the time where their iniquity had no end. Had an end, Salakia, you know. So this devil, he has a perpetual hatred against you, Jake. That's why he treated you the way he treated you. All right? That's why you got it the worst out of all of them. Because you were Jake. All right? You were Jake. All right, and we've been telling you this. All right, we from the head apostles of GMS on down, we've been telling you that the so-called white man's the devil, especially the small hatter. We've been telling you. All right, this is how you know you went over there. All right, you had no business being over there in the first place, and look what happened. You got your ass beat. All right, why? Because you're an Israelite. All right, because they're Esau and you're Jacob. Okay, they're not Jacob. Okay, they're Esau. Okay. And this is what the fight has been, the enmity between Jacob and Esau. Okay. All right. We were fighting going all the way back in the womb. Okay. So you got to understand this. All right. You Jake's got to wake the fuck up. All right. You got to wake up and recognize real. All right. And recognize that the so-called white man's your enemy. Okay. But unfortunately, some of y'all ain't going to wake up. You know, the great majority of y'all ain't going to wake up. It's only the elect. And then you're just going to end up getting destroyed. You know. But nevertheless, you know, you can't say, you know, that you didn't know this word. Okay. You can't say you didn't know. Okay. There's no excuse because we're all over the place. All right. We're all over the internet. You know, we're everywhere. We're on the streets. You know, brothers all over the streets teaching. So you can't say that you didn't know this word. You didn't get this word. Okay. You can't say that because it's in your face. So with that, you know, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to give all praises and glories due to Yahweh, Bashem Yahshua, Bashem Rakwakadash. Shalom.